Welcome back to the capsON podcast. My name is Tyler Blumenstick, joined by Sam Meehan, Nick Tobias, and Anthony Mano. It's week 10 of the NFL season. We're bringing you guys the primetime picks of the week, easy money, and make the case. Thoughts? How you guys doing?
Living the dream.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. All right, let's start with Thursday night football. We have the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans. The line started at, I believe it opened Indy +2, so Tennessee -2, obviously. The line has been moving for the past couple of days since the lines came out. It's settling at Indy pick right now. I guess both of them pick. I'm really on a roll today. Total set at 48.5. What do we think about this?
I mean, initial thoughts, the Indianapolis Colts, you look at their offense and what is their offense should be the question. Their defense is legit. I mean, they pretty much held down Lamar Jackson all last week. I thought for a second they were going to catch a dub, but, you know, the Baltimore is good. Other than that, I don't really know what to make of the Tennessee Titans. Sometimes they win, sometimes they don't. I guess that's usually how it works. But I don't know. I hope one of you guys can talk so I can interject and find something to say.
I'll break down the recent trends, I guess, for both of these teams. In the last 4 weeks, the Titans are 2-2, wins over Houston and Chicago, both by 6 and 7 points, respectively. They have 2 losses against Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Pittsburgh by 3, Cincy by 11. The Colts, on the other hand, also 2-2 with losses to Cleveland and Baltimore by about 10 points and wins over Cincinnati and Detroit. So, I don't know.
I mean, all right. Let me go quick because I think before we start the podcast, we were kind of talking about this game and we think like what's going on with the line here. I'm gonna side with Indy in this game, and I think mainly because the Tennessee defense I don't think is formidable at all. They've only had 10 sacks on the year, which is second in last place. The only team that doesn't have or has less than 10 sacks is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Their secondary is pretty beat up. They're not expected to have Jadeveon Clowney. Phil Rivers is going to have all day to throw, and that's kind of when he does his best. His last year's when he was on the Chargers. He's being rushed to pass the ball. He's being forced to throw the ball in tight windows, and that's when he makes bad decisions. But you give him time, especially with the offensive line that the Indianapolis Colts have. He has Pittman Jr. back. He's got Hilton back. I think they're getting Jack Doyle back too. They have a pretty good run game between Jonathan Taylor, Jonathan Wilkins, and Nyheim Hines. So there isn't really anything to say about the Colts defense that hasn't been said already. Secondary is good. Pass rush is good. Run defense is good. I would take the Colts all day long. I think I might try to buy some points and get them, probably closer to the pick'em. We have them at the pick'em. If I can get them like +2.5, +3.5, I'll be even more comfortable with that. But I think that the Colts win this game.
Is anybody else on the Colts before I interject?
Yeah. It's all right. So it's an ugly.
Not a very
confident
game. It
doesn't seem like
but
a confidence.
It's not ugly. I don't think it's an ugly game. That's the thing. It's not going to play out that way. It's going to be a really good game. It's just ugly on the betting side. Mm-hmm. It's very fairly rated, in my opinion.
I think the Indy defense matches up real well with what the Tennessee Titans try to do, and that's run the ball down your throat. You stop Derrick Henry, now you're forcing Tannehill to make throws, and forcing Tannehill to make throws, it works out sometimes, it doesn't. But he's proven that he does better when he doesn't have to have the game on his shoulders, and I think the game's going to ride on his shoulders, and I expect the Colts defense to come up making a couple big plays and, kind of turning this game over.
I guess I see your side of it, and the Colts defense, especially against the run, like you touched on it, it's a problem. And I think if they can neutralize Derrick Henry as good as you can neutralize Derrick Henry, I think Tennessee's defense is average. It is what it is. But when you compare that, and you kind of go defense to offense and offense to defense, the Titans defense has the ability to really slow down Indy's offense. the game's going to be on the ground. It's going to really chew the clock, which is why I'd look something closer to the under here if you wanted to play this. But when you look at, I guess, back to that offense-defense point, I like Tennessee's ability to put up points on Indy more than I like Indy's chances to put up points against Tennessee. I don't know. It's like one of those where you just kind of really have to break it down to matchups because it's going to be decided.
I'm taking Tennessee here because you can't catch me putting money on Phillip Rivers. I don't care if they have. I don't care if they're not blitzing anybody. Like I think that's a moot point in the first place because the Colts have a good offensive line, so he's not getting pressured much in the first place. So like, if he goes from getting pressured twice a game or 3 times a game, 4 times a game to once a game, I don't think that's that much of a difference. I just think Tennessee's the better team, right? I think a lot of Colts love comes from that defense, and rightfully so. And they've opened this game at they opened at +2, so like I'm gonna back Vegas here and think that was opened like that for a reason. So I don't think T.Y. Hilton coming back makes that big of a difference. Give me Tennessee here.
Take us home, Sam.
I mean, they pretty much touched on everything that needs to be said. Just gonna go Colts.
Yes,
no confidence whatsoever, but I'll go with you, Nick.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to our easy money segment for week 10. Anybody want to start us off?
Crickets. I will.
Crickets. Okay. Love it. I love how we're eager to make picks today. This is good.
Easy money is usually games that like we think, obviously like it's the easiest bet on the card, but like you look at these games, I'm looking at them on my phone now. Like there's nothing exceptional about these games. I'm gonna take Seattle +2.5 against LA as my easy money, and it was a toss up between that one and the Bills, but I feel a bit more comfortable betting on Russell Wilson and his season as opposed to Josh Allen and what he showed last week plus what he showed in other weeks. For me here, it comes down to Russell Wilson's offense. We know that defense is absolutely terrible. Like they might be the worst defense that we've seen ever. And that's in a season where the Cowboys defense has been hailed as the worst defense ever. But I think LA coming off the bye and Seattle kind of getting picked apart the last couple of weeks, I think they come in with a game plan, and I don't think they should be giving anybody 2 points. I just think Seattle's the way to bet here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to piggyback off of Mano because I was actually going to take the Seattle Seahawks. I was going to actually talk about their money line here because I do think they win this game outright. Mm-hmm. Now, Seattle's, they just lost their second in the past 3 games, and they got demolished, last week, or they got beat up pretty bad to the Bills, and it was a pretty surprising loss. I mean, despite maybe not a loss, but getting blown out the way they did. They gave up 415 passing yards last week to Josh Allen, who I think, Mano, you touched on last week about, his ability to throw the deep ball and, how Seattle pretty much struggles against that. And, Seattle had Jamal Adams last week and they had Carlos Dunlap, but I can see why Seattle isn't favored are underdogs in this game. But I think it might come down to, the Rams are a big scheme team, especially with McVay at the helm. And I think they try to scheme out either Metcalf or Lockett, and you scheme out one of those, the other one's going to be open. Mm-hmm. And we've seen Lockett go off.
They're coming off a bye week too, the Rams. They have time to prepare. I just think this game's going to be a shootout. And the over under here is 55.5. That's what I'm looking at now. So like, I feel like the over is relatively easy here.
Yeah, and you got to, before the Rams bye week, that's when they played Miami, and Miami's defense just absolutely
we're not going to see that again.
No, I don't think
not
we're
from
going to see
Seattle
that again.
At least.
But I think Jared Goff feels a little pressure now after kind of getting tossed around, and every time, pretty much every year he's been in LA, a lot's been put on his shoulders. Is he the winner?
Take the good with the bad.
Yeah. I'm just not sure Goff has it in him to keep up with what Seattle's offense has. And I think Russell Wilson is arguably the best quarterback in the league this year, and he's good for another 3-4 touchdown game easy.
And he's not going to have 3-4 turnovers like he had last week.
No, I mean I think he was forcing a whole lot last week, and I think he's going to settle down and he's going to come back for vengeance. So I do like Seattle money line here plus 2.5. Just give me whatever. I'm a big roll Hawks here.
All right, I'll jump in. I'll give my pick. I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins minus 2.5 against the Los Angeles Chargers. We're riding the Dolphins, and it's paying off. I mean, look, the Dolphins are 6-2 against the spread, so we've taken them a fair bit. So I guess basic math and logic shows that we've been winning on the Miami Dolphins. And I feel like this game's going to be no different, and it's really going to solidify them. Because right now, they're really the team that's started off 1-3. Now Ryan Fitzpatrick got him back in the conversation. Now Tua's taken over. He's won his first 2 NFL starts, albeit not because of quarterback play necessarily. But, I mean, you look at the other side of the coin with Justin Herbert and the Chargers, they're just struggling. I mean, there's nothing more to it. They're a talented team, and they're just not getting it done.
They're the best worst team in the league.
Yeah, I said that a couple of weeks ago. It's like
you could say that a couple of years ago, and it still would have been true.
No, 100%. I mean, the thing here is, how many games are truly decided by a point or two? And I think with a defense as good as Miami's, and I feel like the public perception is it's sneaky good, trending towards being more widely accepted that they legitimately do have a very competitive defense. I just think the coaching is night and day here. Miami has the edge by a mile. And both teams, Miami just plays more inspiring football. That's really been the trend and the reason why we've been backing them. And their 6-2 against the spread record has showed that they can.
I said this last week, Herbert, when you have a guy that comes out of college and even a quarterback now, when you throw the deep ball, like as well as he has so far, like that's solid, but that's not sustainable, especially for a rookie quarterback. I don't think Justin Herbert can, I said it last week and he kind of did keep it up, but I'm going to keep saying it until it rings true. I don't think he can keep up at the pace that he's going to. And that's not to say he's not a solid quarterback, but I think Miami puts him in situations where they can take away that deep ball, right? And when he does throw it, it's going to either be an overthrow or it's going to get picked off or something like that and force him to make, the underneath throws that he's not comfortable with because that defense is talented and they're very well coached.
Yeah. And I've been on Miami all year, and this is another game where I'll be on them. The Chargers are after losing as many games as they have, the way that they have, how are you not mentally drained? And especially a young quarterback like Justin Herbert, who does so much for his team, kind of seeing it all fall through at the last minute has got to hurt. Not only that, not only did they have a heartbreak loss last week, but now they got to travel from Los Angeles all the way to Miami and have to sit on the plane and deal with what just happened. And like you said, Stick, the coaching is head over heels. The way the Miami Dolphins play. Granted, the Dolphins did lose. They're not going to have Preston Williams this week, but I really don't think that makes too much of a difference. I think Devontae Parker steps up. They have Gesicki, and I just don't think it's going to matter. Mm-hmm. Tua looked good last week.
Very good.
He looked really good, and he was making plays with his feet, which is something that I wanted to see as a football fan. Coming off the injuries that he had coming out of college, so seeing him be able to move around in the pocket, not afraid to make plays with his legs.
That was the thing with Tua. It was never the ability coming out. It was always the injury history. Like if he had no injury history, he would have been the first quarterback taken. Like all respect to Burrow. Burrow had a phenomenal year, but Tua's the better quarterback, pure quarterback. You just take the injuries, and that docks him points more. And Burrow's phenomenal season. So,
yep. All right, next. Who's up?
Sammy.
All right. So, my two that I was
recognize that smirk. I recognize
the two that I were considering at first was actually Miami, and I was actually on the other side. I was going to go LA, but yeah, the smirk. I'm going to go with the New York Giants.
It wouldn't be a capsON betting podcast if someone didn't bet on the Giants or bet against Pat Mahomes.
Irrationally, yeah. So the New York Giants football team defense is getting better and better as weeks go on. An impressive showing against Tampa and 5 turnovers last week in a win against Washington. The offense is still a work in progress, but a step in correction last week. Daniel Jones did not turn the football over. He even got clocked from behind, and he somehow held on to that football late in the fourth quarter. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they put some stick him on his hands or something, but whatever it is working. And Philly coming off a bye, I don't believe in them at all. They really shouldn't have won the last game against the Giants. The Giants are looking better and better, and I think 4 points is – I mean, I see the Giants losing on some, late in the game bullshit like, Tampa and the previous week against Philly, but I think 4 points is fair to take.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants have looked real competitive the last 2 weeks against – I mean, granted, one of them was the Washington football team, but especially the week before when they played Tampa Bay, as Giants fans here, it shows a lot of hope.
And Philly the week before that. And they just barely lost that game too. They're home this week. I can see them squeaking out a W here again, like a little last-minute fourth quarter, make you want to rip your hair out kind of W. But yeah,
I can see it.
My concern here on the other side, I don't know if I'm gonna bet on this because I typically try to stay away from betting on my team. So that's like the Giants, Nets, etc. My concern here is that Philly's coming off a bye, right? And they beat this Giants team by 1 before. You have that entire bye week to build. You have 2 weeks basically to build on what you did poorly that first game, try to get it better and get better at the things that worked the first time. Where the Giants aren't afforded that luxury, they're afforded the 1 week they have to get ready for a Philly team that's coming off a bye that's fresher. So like 4.5 is close enough where I think you can feel comfortable at it, but you have to. I think it's something you have to consider when betting on this game.
I definitely get that. I see the Giants towards they're beginning to find a groove, especially defensively. So I think they just keep riding that and then
for sure
force Wentz into making some dumb mistakes.
And the Eagles aren't spectacular on the offensive side of the ball either. So like if you force Carson Wentz to make mistakes in this game and not make mistakes like like throws the ball away like 3-4 times, you have to force him into interceptions or fumbles or stuff like that. I think the Giants have a legitimate shot here to win the game. If not, at least
the
cover
only
the
thing is the Eagles are expected to get Miles Sanders back, and
doesn't scare me.
And they'll have Jalen Reagor, which there's another offensive threat that the Giants have to take care of. But let's go Giants. What am I supposed to do here? What am I supposed to do here?
Yeah, come on.
All right, take us home, Nick.
Oh, my easy money this week was going to be the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, so you're just gonna ride Mano?
Yeah, I'll ride Mano, but
we don't have to force picks. I feel like that might be a good option.
Yeah, I really like Seattle this week, and I don't know, especially coming off the way they lost last game. Pete Carroll hypes me up. That's the thing. Pete Carroll hypes me up.
And especially you hype up that defense of his because they're bad. They're terrible.
I can't hype up their defense. I gotta pass on that.
All right, so let's move on to make the case. I'll kick it off here. I'm shocked that I missed this game in my easy money segment because I probably would have flip-flopped that pick with this pick. But I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions -3.5 over the Washington football team. They're at home. Detroit is a game better at 3-5. Washington is 2-6. But I think these are two completely different football teams. Washington's on its third quarterback of the year with Alex Smith coming back off of a brutal injury. Then you have Matt Stafford on the other side, who's a veteran quarterback, has never been able to get his team over the hump, but he's a steady, consistent guy. He comes back late in games. He's always there, just being that guy to force the issue. We saw it in the comeback versus the Falcons in that wild game where Gurley scored and all of his career. Look, I just think that Detroit is a much better team. They don't have a great defense, but I think they're a much better team than Washington, and at home, I think they should be able to get this done. I feel like it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
yeah, I like that.
Yeah, all I was going to say is Detroit's offense is legit. It always kind of has been. But when they miss Kenny Galladay, it really kind of shows. So I don't know if he's going to play this week. I know he was sidelined at practice again today. But I think he's a big piece of their offense. And if they're missing him, it's going to kind of hurt. But
Marvin Jones has stepped up in the past few weeks.
He really has.
He has.
Especially fantasy-wise, too.
And Marvin Jones is good, and T.J. Hawkinson is good. Danny Amendola is solid. DeAndre Swift in the backfield is solid. And I think for the Washington football team, I think Antonio Gibson's is a possibility to not play this week. but I really don't know how much of a difference that makes because the Detroit Lions defense isn't really there.
All right.
That's an ugly game.
It is an ugly game.
Yeah,
I think Detroit gets out of this one pretty comfortably.
You think so?
Yeah. I don't trust the Alex Smith run offense yet. Like, he was solid before his injury, just a very middle of the pack quarterback, and we don't know what we have with him yet. Like, I feel like he's just getting more and more comfortable on his leg right now. And I mean, I said it last week. I've said it before. I mean, an offense of Alex Smith, Terry McLaurin, and Antonio Gibson does not scare me. I mean, I'll take a Matt Stafford with an Adrian Peterson, DeAndre Swift, Kerryon Johnson backfield with Stafford or with Hawkinson.
And you said what? It's 3.5.
Galladay. Yeah, it's 3.5. I feel like this is just.
But still, I mean, like you said, you trust Matt Stafford. I mean, you let him throw the ball 45 times, and he's probably still going to throw for 300 yards and make some good plays. He's a smart
100%.
guy. I think Matt Patricia is also a pretty decent coach, but I think it's Matt Stafford's team and he does whatever he wants. So
Totally.
My gut here says Washington, and that's why that's why the segment's called Make the Case.
I mean, I think it's a slam dunk, to be honest.
You think so?
I think they win this game by 10 points plus.
All right. My gut says Washington here, and that's not to undermine your pick. That's
I'm
just,
kind of with
that's
you,
just
but
what I was
I
thinking.
really looked into it though. I'm gonna jump into mine, I suppose. If you're done.
Yeah, hit it, Sam.
So both of these teams have very different records overall, but they're both 6-2 against the spread this year. And I'm gonna go with the 7-point favorite Pittsburgh Steelers at home against Cincinnati.
This is working under the assumption that Ben Roethlisberger plays.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, just cover yourself. You got to cover yourself.
Just in case. I will find a new one if he's not. But
would you make the case for the Pittsburgh Steelers if he doesn't play?
At 7-8 points, no.
No, it wouldn't be 7-8 points.
But
I would imagine it would
probably
be
like
1 or 2.
Probably like I could even see really like 3 or 4, maybe 5. I would still probably take him.
I don't think it would be. I don't know if it would be that high.
You're not gonna get it like that.
Cincinnati's good enough to cover. I think if it was Mason Rudolph, I think it would be like. I think it would be 2.
What if it was Duck Hodges though? You got to think about Duck Hodges.
He's not even there anymore.
Speaking of Duck Hodges, that was one of our first episodes, and we're nearing up on the anniversary of the Duck Hodges episode.
Wow, that was
I
our
think
first
that episode
one?
was titled "Will Duck Hodges Fly South for the Winter?"
It was. You're right.
Like that.
All right, Sam. Sorry.
Sam, sorry.
No. It's all good. I just think that I know they had a little lackluster effort last week against Dallas, but I think this week the defense comes out and just annihilates that terrible offensive line of Cincinnati. Joe Burrow his first leg of against Pittsburgh. I don't think it's gonna go too well for him.
They're gonna headhunt them.
Yeah.
Not headhunt them actually, but they're gonna come for him.
Oh yeah, they're gonna try to knock him down early a few times, get some good shots and rough him up. But
I mean, the only thing that scares me about
defensively is still not great.
No, but the only thing that scares me is St. Louis is the Steelers' offense. I mean, they have the third fewest touchdowns in the league, and clearly they have trouble getting it going. That's really the only thing that makes me nervous. And Joe Burrow has proved he could throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in his sleep, especially if he has AJ Green
in his sleep against the Pittsburgh defense.
I wouldn't go that far.
Listen, he's gonna be throwing the ball all game. You think he's gonna be running the ball all game?
I don't know. Look, I don't hate Sam's pick, but I mean, the only thing that really concerns me here, and that is the fact that Cincinnati has tended to play up to their competition this year, while Pittsburgh, on the other hand, has done the opposite and completely played down. Like, I haven't watched a whole bunch of Pittsburgh games completely through. I'm more of a red zone guy, and then select games that I want to watch on the computer. But, I mean, I watched the Pittsburgh versus the Giants. They clearly played down to the Giants, although we didn't know what the Steelers were at that point.
I'm seeing an effort like they did to Cleveland about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, look, I mean, they have it in them completely. I don't understand why.
I think that Pittsburgh comes out this week. I think people are down on them after last week, and they want to prove that we're the team to beat.
It's tough because, like, I'm not down on Pittsburgh. It's more so I'm up on Cincinnati.
I agree.
Oh, I don't.
They're not the same Cincinnati Bengals that they used to be.
I've been betting Cincy all year, and this breaks my heart to take bet against them this week. But I do think Pittsburgh comes out hot, and makes Joe Burrow's life a living hell this week.
Yeah, I mean, he's
It's a
definitely
division game.
He's going to have.
He's got to look like a rookie at some point. So why not against the 8-0 Steelers?
We'll see. All right,
Nick. Mano, you or me?
Or Mano.
Hit it, Nick.
All right, so I was getting. I've been getting some messages, some DMs lately about my stance on the Jaguars. You know who you are. But at this point, I didn't take them last week. I took Houston -6 against the Jaguars last week, and the Jaguars backdoor covered me last week. But my stance on the Jaguars is not going to change this week. They play the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are 12.5-point favorites at home on FanDuel. And this is a game that I do not think is relatively close. Green Bay Packers are getting fully healthy Aaron Jones this week. I mean, they had him last week, but now he's going to be fully healthy. The rapport that Aaron Rodgers has with Davante Adams is without a question one of the best in the league. Green Bay is expected to get back Alan Lazard this week off of the IR, which is huge for them for a big second, a big number 2 guy. Marquez Valdes-Scantling has clearly stepped up when he's needed to. Behind Aaron Jones, you have Jamal Williams, who is very capable of taking on the running back load. The Green Bay defense, the only thing they really lack is a run game. So James Robinson might be able to get it going, but
James Robinson isn't Dalvin Cook, though.
He is not Dalvin Cook. He is most definitely not Dalvin Cook, and I'm not saying that James Robinson's going to have a field day, but I'm saying he's going to be able to help Lutton out a little bit. But this is Jake Lutton. This is his second game starting, and he's starting in Lambeau against Aaron Rodgers, who is arguably one of the best quarterbacks of all time. I just think Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers are way too hot right now. Aaron Rodgers has blood on his mind, and I think it's a blowout. I really hope they don't play down to the competition here, and the Jaguars can sneaky backdoor here. But I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers minus 12.5 here.
All right.
They might win by 30.
The only thing that scares me here is I wouldn't call it scared. I'm just going to call it a disclaimer, I guess, is if, like you said, if James Robinson can get that push and get going on the ground, along with the fact that Green Bay keeps the ball on the ground, and I feel like they're more deliberate. They have their home run shots, but they're more deliberate in their offense where they just push it and push it and push it. This clock is going to grind. So a spread as big as 13 does scare me a little bit.
I agree there, but what really sticks out to me is the Green Bay offense. They're scoring 31.8 points a game.
100%.
Do I think the Jaguars can get 20 on them? Probably not.
It's a good point.
And all Aaron Rodgers needs is a couple deep bombs, and maybe just one or two. He needs one. He has no problem finding somebody 50 yards down the field that's just wide open and just heaving it up. And all of his wide receivers are able to go up and make the contested catch. Jacksonville Jaguars defense is pedestrian. They don't have a secondary. And Davante Adams, ask him if he's the best wide receiver in the league before the game. See how he reacts.
Yeah, ask the top 10 wide receivers if they think they're the best wide receiver in the game. They'll all tell you yes.
As they should.
As they should.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's no way to completely discern one from the other.
I think DeAndre Hopkins is the best wide receiver in the league. That's where I stand. But we can get in that argument another time.
I don't know who I rank number 1, but Mano, take us home. We'll go back to this.
This is make the case. So I'm going to sit out here, and I'm going to make the case for the team that we just saw get blown out of the water on Monday Night Football.
Okay.
That's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I don't hate it. I kind of do, but I don't.
They're 4.5-point favorites against the Carolina Panthers, and I'll give credit where credit is due. Huh?
Teddy covers.
Yeah, I know it's Teddy covers. I'll give credit where credit is due. Teddy Bridgewater and the Carolina Panthers have been solid the entire year. They have an offense unlike any other in the league where Teddy Bridgewater is a top 5 passer in this league by passing yards. He gets Curtis Samuel involved. He gets Robbie Anderson involved. He gets DJ Moore involved. No Christian McCaffrey this week, but I don't think that plays that much of a difference considering what Mike Davis has done the entire year.
Mike Davis did it for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then he fell off a cliff the last 2 or 3 weeks.
He was still decent though. He's not CMC. We can admit that, but he was still. I mean, he's still serviceable. And listen, I think this line is 4.5 because we just saw Tampa Bay get blown out of the water, right? And Carolina just took the Chiefs to the brink. They just took them to the Joey Sly, Virginia Tech alum, Joey Sly.
Yeah,
a field goal that went.
I hate to butt in.
Huh?
I hope he's listening. If Joey Sly, if you're listening to this, you lost me my fantasy game by 3 points because you missed 3 field goals. So it's your fault, Joey Sly.
Right, Joey Sly had the distance. It just went right. But my logic behind taking Tampa here is that Carolina just blew their load. They just blew their load. That was their game. That was their Super Bowl, right? Now they got to get on the plane. They got to go play another tough opponent in Tampa Bay that, also just got blown out of the water. And they have to cover 4.5 points. I don't think it's going to be particularly close. I would bet against a pissed off Tom Brady than a pissed off Teddy Bridgewater every day of the week.
Well, you're also getting a second week Antonio Brown too.
All year.
Right, yeah, and that offense is getting healthier. Like Godwin probably shouldn't have played last week because he was still recovering from thumb injury. This week probably should be, maybe, I don't know, should be okay. Right? Antonio Brown, second week in the system, should be a little bit better. Tom Brady said he hated football apparently, so I feel like this love for football said he comes back this week. I think Tampa Bay is the pick here.
I mean, I have no argument on this. I think Tampa Bay is head and shoulders a better team above the Carolina Panthers. I think the Carolina Panthers were off to a hot streak in the beginning of the year, and I don't think it accurately reflects their overall skill level. Yes, they did take Kansas City all the way to the wire, but so did the LA Chargers, and we talk about them all the time.
And the Vegas Raiders.
And the Vegas Raiders. And, I mean, the Raiders are a decent team, but they're nowhere near the skill level that the Kansas City Chiefs are. I think Kansas City kind of let it off the pedal last week a little bit, and that's just kind of what got them where they were. But Tampa Bay just got the brakes blown off of them. That was an ugly game. I won a lot of money in that game. That's pretty much what saved me for the week gambling-wise. But you're right, betting off against a pissed-off Tom Brady at home, second week of Antonio Brown.
On the road.
On the road, I don't care. And Carolina is close enough. They're both near the
close enough to Tampa.
Yeah, they're close.
Yeah, no, I just think Carolina's getting a lot of love here, and people just watched the big primetime game, and are down on the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers are still one of the better teams in this league, despite getting the doors blown off them. So. Mm-hmm. Give me Tampa Bay here. I think it's relatively easy, but we have to make the case here because they just got the doors blown off them.
Yeah.
All right.
Fair enough.
Cool.
Fair enough.
All right. So that rounds out easy money and make the case. Let's move on to Sunday night football. We have the Baltimore Ravens visiting the New England Patriots at Gillette Stadium. 8:20 Sunday night. Baltimore opened at a 6.5 point favorite. It's moved up to 7.
Oh, God.
Total opened up at 40.5. It's now at 43.5.
Because the Baltimore Ravens are going to score all the points this game.
I agree 100%. Like I don't care that the Patriots beat the Jets because they almost didn't beat the Jets. They really had no business beating the Jets.
Who took the Jets Monday night? Jets Monday night?
I had Jets Monday night as well.
You got to cover.
And who took the Saints Sunday night?
That's a good point.
Sorry.
Good for you, Nick. I'm happy for you.
Thank you. I'm happy for myself.
All right. But yeah, I mean, for me personally,
all right,
I don't see New England scoring more than. I don't want to get it wrong and lowball it at 14, but I think they're going to be right around that 14 to 17 point mark, if that, against a Baltimore defense that is still really good. They're a really, really good defense, and New England has shown that Cam Newton can't move the ball unless Rex Burkhead goes for 150 yards, 3 touchdowns randomly one night, which he's done. This is if Baltimore can beat the Colts 24-10, I think they can beat the Patriots 24-10, and that equals a cover. So that's my logic. I don't have much more to it. I don't think the Patriots are a good team. I said to drop the allure of the Patriots name a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to stick with that. They're not a good team this year whatsoever.
The problem is their offense doesn't really know how to move the football against a good defense. I mean, the Jets have the worst defense in the league. New England Patriots are actually they're 30th ranked against the pass and 31st against the rush. You talk about the Baltimore Ravens offense, who is a running first offense. They're playing against 31st ranked rushing defense. So Lamar Jackson can have a field day. They're supposed to get Mark Ingram back. So now you have Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Lamar Jackson. A second week of Dez Bryant if they elevate him again. Marquise Hollywood Brown, who's itching to get started. Mark Andrews, who's always a red zone threat. A defense who is top 5 in the league. I want to bet this now because you said 7. I want to bet it before it goes over 7 and touches 7.5. But I guess what scares me is taking that many points for a team on the road in New England. And it is Bill Belichick, give or take, but it's the Baltimore Ravens and they're playing arguably one of the worst New England Patriots teams we've seen in the past 20 years. I'm all over Baltimore here.
All right.
Hit me, Sam.
No,
Same.
I don't really have anything to add. Baltimore -7.
Yeah, that's the contrarian look right there.
I wasn't.
I
wasn't. The more, I won't lie. I had the Patriots at the beginning when I was looking at lines, right? And to me,
what?
I can't do it.
Thank you.
I can't do it.
You can't. How? How do you do it?
There's no
after you just watched them almost blow the game to the Jets.
Yeah.
Where they were 9-point favorites.
I don't know. I really don't know.
I can't. It sucks, but I can't bet on the Patriots anymore. I can't.
Yeah, the line is probably a little higher than I think I would have liked it to be, which I guess wanes my caution. Or I guess that helps my caution a little bit. I got to take the Ravens for the same reason that you guys said, right? Lamar Jackson said earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday, that that defenses know what they're calling, right? So I think this week they go in and they shake it up, and against the Patriots are about as good as a team to try it out as you said. They're one of the worst defenses in the league. So go try out new things. If it don't work, go back to the original stuff, and you still probably blow them out. I'm taking the Ravens here. I don't think it's going to be particularly close.
Yeah.
Wait, just to bounce back off of what you said about trying new things, Mano, about the offense and trying new things. Now, I kind of think that's where Kansas City messed up last week. Carolina's defense isn't the best defense, and we saw that one play where Mahomes is like motioning and then runs back and catches the ball while he's motioning back under the center. That's not something you see. That you're not going to see that in crunch time in the fourth quarter. I mean, you might. Who knows at this point? But I could see let Lamar Jackson just do whatever he wants to get creative at this point. Get comfortable.
Yeah, especially if he's not happy with the way his offensive coordinator is calling plays. Like,
I mean, I could see it as a big passing game for him too. I mean, he needs to develop his passing game, and this is where especially if Stephon Gilmore doesn't play for a third week straight. I mean,
that's the other thing too. Like, that defense has dudes out there that were getting picked apart by the Jets. Like J.C. Jackson, he had a pick, and they were saying all broadcasts like, "Oh, this dude's been solid the entire year. We don't know what's going on." It's because like this defense has been good in the past, and you can help a guy like J.C. Jackson when the other side of the field has Stephon Gilmore, who doesn't need help. So you can help another guy. I don't think it's going to be particularly close, but I do worry about 7.5. Like it's scary. I still have the allure of the Patriots just because like their coach is who their coach is. Talk to me next week about the Patriots, and we'll see. We'll see if I drop them. But I'm taking the Ravens this weekend.
And before we move on to Monday Night Football, I'm just going to drop a quick little tidbit here for our listeners or viewers or however you consume this information. The Patriots have 3 wins on the year. Miami, last week's Jets little comeback, whatever you want to call that. And then a 36-20 win against Vegas, which would be the only good win on their schedule. And they were 7-point favorites. And I think we could all be in agreement here. If that game were played today in New England against Las Vegas, it'd probably be closer to a pick'em, if not having the Raiders favored by a tiny bit.
Yeah, probably.
These are completely different teams. Like, Baltimore's got 2 losses, Pittsburgh and Kansas City, 2 really, really good teams with what? 1 combined loss between the 2?
Yeah, or 2. Something like that.
I don't know.
All right. Swipe ahead.
Close it out with Monday Night Football with the Minnesota Vikings visiting the Chicago Bears. The Vikings are 2.5-point favorites on the road in Chicago. Total set at 44. I feel like we always get at least one really bad primetime game a week, and I'm going to have to talk it up with the NFL scheduling department.
They'll answer you. They'll answer you real quick. That's a good idea, Stick. See what they say.
I hope they take my call eventually. Probably not. Probably never. I'm going to go plain and simple. Bears offense can't push the ball. I'm going with Minnesota. Dalvin Cook's a man on a mission, and I can't back the Bears offense. It's like watching paint dry, like the entire game. You literally watch them take the ball, 25 yards, punt. Take the ball, 3 and out, punt. And then they get a touchdown. And then they stop them on defense, and it just goes that way the whole game. It's like very, very slow, very, very slow, touchdown, and then back to the normal again. And I can't watch the Bears, can't bet the Bears taking the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, I was high on the Bears.
Kirk Cousins in primetime.
Primetime Kirk Cousins.
It slipped my mind until this very moment. I don't know.
My brain is telling me to take the Vikings, but my gut is telling me to take the Bears. And I'm kind of torn because, the Vikings offense has started to look, like they probably should, because you pay Kirk Cousins all this money. You send Diggs packing because of Thielen's the guy. Justin Jefferson's beginning to become a star before our eyes. But I don't know. I feel that the Bears defense will make plays against Kirk Cousins, get pressure on him, and force him to make mistakes that will set up their offense in favorable positions that they don't have to drive the ball, 75, 80 yards downfield to score. They can, get the ball, the 50, get it in plus territory, and get some points. And I think the Bears win an ugly, ugly game.
I feel like this is a stay away. Like, if I had to ever advise on a stay away, like, this would be the game I would show them. Like, textbook definition of what to stay away from.
But
Minnesota and Chicago might not football.
But if yes, I agree. This is a textbook stay away game. But if I'm going in on it, which I have to,
which we're all going to end up doing, it's going to happen.
Listen, when it's Monday at 6:00, and I'm like, I guess
it's going to be 8:13, and I'm going to be rushing versus my Wi-Fi to get this in.
So I'm on the Minnesota Vikings here, and for a couple of reasons. So Minnesota, they've won their past 2 games, both over divisional opponents. And they went from 1-5, now they're 3-5. So offensively, they're trending in the right direction. Dalvin Cook is a man on a mission who's kind of torn apart the defenses these past 2 weeks.
He's put himself in MVP conversation. It's a quarterback award, but he put himself in the conversation.
He's racked up 858 all-purpose yards over the past 2 weeks.
That's wild. That's so crazy.
That's absurd.
Oh my God.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
So he's kind of balling out. And not only that, but the Chicago offense hasn't put up more than 17 points in the past 3 weeks. So clearly they have a very stagnant offense. It's ranked 29th in yards per game. And it just doesn't feel like the Bears are there anymore.
I'm picking the Bears.
The Bears do have the 12th best run defense, but that's not even what I thought the Bears would have. Their defense is supposed to be so good in
would be better.
Yeah, you think it's this cornerstone, and it just hasn't been. And I think that's mainly because they're on the field, 80% of the game, and they're just getting torn apart. But I think Minnesota being home this game is big. Or I'm sorry, they're on the road, so they're still in Soldier Field. Now you're talking about primetime Kirk Cousins in the cold.
On the road.
That's another reason why. Okay, you talk about on the road, Dalvin Cook in the cold. It's going to end up being, and just give me Dalvin Cook all day long. Go Justin Jefferson deep, Thielen down low, and I think Kirk Cousins will do enough to get it over 3 points because it's 2.5. So I'm comfortable even with a game-winning field goal here to put him up 3.
I hate Kirk Cousins.
I know.
We know you do.
I have stayed silent through the 3 of your picks, thinking about how much I hate Kirk Cousins.
You have to pick him, don't you?
You've talked smack about the Chicago Bears every single week.
I know.
Every week you talk about how bad their offense is.
They're bad.
And you're right. Really you're right every week.
But I hate Kirk Cousins. I don't like that man. I don't like that man as a quarterback. I don't like that man I've never met him, but I'm sure he's a nice person. But I don't like him. And that really
and that's
hurts.
the reason you're going to take the Bears.
No, I'm not going to take the Bears. I'm going to take the Vikings because I hate Kirk Cousins. So I'm going to take the Vikings here for pretty much all the reasons that you guys said, right? Dalvin Cook is a man on a mission, right? I don't think he's the best running back in the league, but he's the best running back right now at this moment. He is the lifeblood of that offense, right? And eventually you're going to get Adam Thielen in a consistent, role in that offense, right? And Justin Jefferson has really emerged, right? There's dudes in that Chicago secondary that scare me, like an Eddie Jackson.
And there's somebody else from Virginia Tech that you're forgetting to mention.
One of the Fullers, I don't know. There's like 9 Fullers.
I'll take that.
There's like 9 Fullers. I know it's one of them. There's like 9 Fullers in this league.
Kyle.
And they all play. They're all DBs. I don't know if they're related. They're probably related.
They are. Well, no, only Kyle and Kendall are related.
So the Fuller family, the parents are DBU, is what you're saying?
Yeah, apparently.
Yes.
Apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, and they both went to Virginia Tech DBU gang.
Yeah, Fuller and Eddie Jackson kind of scare me, but I'm going to take the Vikings here. I think they have a better offense. I think at the end of the day, they're going to score more points. What is the line here? 4.5?
2.5.
2.5? Yeah, that's fine by me. I'll take that.
I mean, that's a game-winning field goal, off of the leg of Dane Bailey. Come on.
Yeah, I'm going to take Kirk Cousins under passing yards.
Whatever it is. Whatever.
Touchdowns. Whatever it is. I don't care.
All Kirk Cousins unders.
Yeah, whatever Kirk Cousins under is fine by me.
But the over on interceptions.
Over on interceptions. I don't even think the Kirk Cousins in primetime thing really makes that big of a difference. Like, that's a big talking point, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like it was a big thing like 3 years ago. I got to go back and look at it now. It probably still stands, but like, I hate Kirk Cousins, man. He just does everything so like he's the most average quarterback in the league, right?
I hate to put my money on him too.
There's ways to make him a better quarterback. It's just whenever they do it, he just stinks at that too. Like, he was one of the best quarterbacks in play action last year, and we know they do. They don't run play action. So like, what is Kirk Cousins going to do? Either hand the ball off or to throw it deep to Adam Thielen. I hate it. I hate that offense. But I hate the Chicago offense more. I don't think they can score. Like, I'd be hard-pressed for them to score 2.5 points.
17 points a game over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's not good. And neither is the Vikings defense, right? If you told me either side of this game you were going to bet on, I'd throw my hands up and say good bet. Fine, whatever. I just think the Vikings are the better offensive team here. I think offense in this league wins games. As much as defense wins championships, the offense wins games and probably championships going forward. Give me the Vikings minus 2.5. Give me Kirk Cousins, all his unders. End scene.
All right. Well, Sam has to go bowling, so let's wrap this up. Just quick. If you're new here and you've stuck around this long, or if you're following on TikTok, I'll post this as a quick little clip. But every single week, we basically give our locks of the week, easy money, make the case, and we go over every single primetime game of the week. Not necessarily vouching for it, but if you watch the whole episode, you'll understand that we're either taking it, we're vouching for it completely, or we're not whatsoever. Check us out on Twitter, capsON Sports, Instagram, capsON Sports, TikTok, capsON Sports, website, capsonsports.com. Basically everything capsON Sports. You can buy capsON Sports merch. But anyways, for Tyler Blumenstick, Sam Meehan, Anthony Mano, and Nick Tobias, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, you will. I'll be here.